Yo, 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 what's going on, fam? Yeah, man. Yeah, it's your boy Teach, man, back with another video. Oh, man, long overdue, and, at that, I supposed to been, got at y'all with this video. If you guys remember from the last video, I was telling you I had two more to drop, and I'm finally getting to one of them, you know what I'm saying? And, but by the grace of the Most High, I give all thanks and praise for the opportunity to do so. And then first and foremost, man, I just want to give all thanks and praise to the Most High for the opportunity to come and build and reason and commune. You know how I go. You know what I'm saying, with the fam. It's always a pleasure, man. And right now, man, I come to you guys, with full sincerity, and some crazy information, man. So I really need you to rock with me on this one. Get it all, man, and be patient with me. Again, how long these videos get, and I hope this one don't be, too long, but again, you know how that go, man. So, but yeah, man, this video right here, man, I've been sitting on this one for almost a year, man. Don't know why it got drawn out like that, man. Wasn't really my intentions, but, you know how I go, man. But I do give all thanks and praise for the opportunity to come and finally, commune with you guys on this particular, video and topic. But, the time calls, man, and it calls with urgency, you know what I'm saying? So, because as you can see, man, it's getting real, man, and all the games it's really no time for them, you know what I'm saying? All that, we got to put that aside, man. And like I said, it's finna get real priestly, man. We're talking about priesthood, we're talking about refuge, man. Right now, that is more important now more than ever. You know what I'm saying? And especially with the topic of the last video, we know when this particular energy comes to protect us. We know it comes in a time of trouble, in a time of tribulation. So when we understand that, we understand that really, man, like I say, man, playtime is over, and it's time to come back to the Creator. You know what I'm saying? To get out the way, so He can restore order. You know what I'm saying? And we can build our kingdom from there. Like I say, man, this video is long overdue. Didn't really know when I was gonna get the opportunity to drop it, but now, on this gracious day, I'm able to, and this day is very sacred to me, because through what I've been able to experience by the hand of the Creator, we were blessed with some very gracious energy on this day, and I give all thanks and praise for that. So without further ado, man, this video right here, man, it came to me when I was over the road, man, and on the job, driving across the country, man, just being able to experience the land. I was driving through Oklahoma, you know what I'm saying, and I had this particular thought. We was on I-40, going straight across the country. So from Oklahoma, you know what I'm saying, all the way across, you know what I'm saying, then across the Mississippi and stuff, and then into Tennessee, you know what I'm saying, through the mountains, which is very important for for what we talking about today. And so when I was in Oklahoma, you know what I'm saying, I had this thought, and I began to think, because like I've always said, man, refuge, when we talk about refuge, you know what I'm saying, we talk about the wilderness and things like that. Like I've always said, you can flee anywhere, because a lot of people think they need to leave the continent, and this, that, and the third, and whatever. Hey, you can flee whatever. Like I've always said, what matters is that the agency of protection, the spirit of protection, the Archangel Michael, God's presence is dwelling in that particular area. That's what matters. You feel what I'm saying? What matters is His spirit are in certain locations, you know what I'm saying, to provide refuge, because that's what it's there for. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, once I began to understand that, and just begin to wonder, I began to think like, well, what particular landmass could be associated with our protector, which is, the Archangel Michael. What characteristic could I find in the land that would show Michael? You feel what I'm saying? That's what I began to think. That's what I began to look for. You know what I'm saying? And it was very interesting what I found, man. And I was able, just through listening to the Creator, man, and just paying attention to what he was showing me, I was able to find Michael in a particular land, and to see how his spirit in that land is present, and how it would provide refuge. You know what I'm saying, for his people, and that's pretty much what I want to get into today. You know what I'm saying, and so one thing we got to understand is when we understand Michael and we understand land. Remember from the last video, I was talking about Artemis, right? The feminine principle, right? This Mother Nature spirit that the Greeks call Artemis. All right. Michael is joined to this principle. This is what Michael wants. This is what Michael, desires, right? And to understand Michael being the king over the earth and the king over all the angels, you could just, understand his connection to the earthly mother. You know what I'm saying? So, digging on Artemis, we know that, she represents a few principles. She's represented by chastity, right? Moral purity, right? Which we know is also what? Whiteness, right? Lebanon. So she's associated with chastity, as well as incense. She's associated with incense, right? Artemis, Artemisia. The herbs that we burn for incense, like as well as other medicinal purposes, we take for medicinal purposes. So you know what I'm saying. She's associated with that, the herb, the incense, as well as the embodiment of the feminine and the mother spirit, the feminine principle. So when you take all those things into account and understand how she, you know what I'm saying, is a representation of the feminine principle, we know that the feminine principle is very associated to the land, right? We know, as males, as the sons of Adam, as gardeners, you know what I'm saying, and just how your wives is like that's like your garden, right? That's like land. How you able to plant your seed and it bears fruit. Just certain things like that in just principle terms. But we know women in the feminine energy have a very strong and very profound correlation to the land and association, to land. So when we understand Michael's association to land, we know that, his land is represented by Artemis, right? And Artemis is represented by incense. So finding or determining where the spirit of Michael, may rest or reside in the land, just based on what he is drawn to and what he is associated with, was allowed me to find a lot of profound information, man, and that's what I want to share with you guys today. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, man. So I want to bring you over here to this article right here, Myths of the Cedars of Lebanon. I had touched on it in one of my previous videos. This article from paghat.com. So I just want to go ahead and touch on this first quote right here. You know what I'm saying? It say, "If in the end I should conquer, glorious will be the victory, but I shall owe it to the Queen of Angels." Right? Very, very important. Under whose protection I place myself. She is my refuge and my defense. Alright. The tower of the house of David, on whose walls hang innumerable shields, and the armor of many valiant champions. The cedar of Lebanon, right? Which pushed the serpent to flight. Alright, put the serpent to flight. Alright, so so I just want to touch on a few things real quick before I really get into the the meat of what I want. And the meat of what I'm gonna bring out, just to kind of give a little pretense, you know what I'm saying? So starting up here at the top, I'm actually starts right here. So you guys catch this, you know what I'm saying? and I'm gonna start right here just to get a few things. It say the usual Hebrew word for cedar, Arez, is of mysterious origin, derived most likely from some Arabic dialect. It probably means mighty. Probably means mighty, and used with this meaning at Ezekiel 27:24. It is thus a synonym for El, strength, the husband of the goddess Asherah, right, and the head of an extensive Semitic pantheon. El's name was quoted as a name for Yahweh. Every member of Israel was destined to share the traits of happiness and mightiness of the cedars of Lebanon. Number 24 and 6. It is nearly homonymous with Eretz, normatively earth, but a feminine word, hence literally earth mother, which since is often preserved in Torah, personifying the earth as a motherly figure, and by motherly figure alternatively by the names Eretz and Adamah, red earth mother, who gave birth to Adam. Alright, so peep that. You know what I'm saying? Because Eretz, which means earth, literally one letter, which is the T, away from cedar. Alright, so and remember, you know what I'm saying, man, if you haven't got my last video, please catch that before you get this, because remember the principle we were talking about when we were talking about Artemis, right? That earthly mother type of spirit. Remember her sacred tree was the cedar tree, and we know this correlation between her and the Archangel Michael. So just keep all that in mind when we're digging through this. All right. So cedar mythology was ancient long before the Bible was written. In its full range, cedrus has 4 primary species and was associated with the goddess in each species' native location, either as a consort of the goddess or personified as itself female. I peep that out now. Read that again. In its full range, cedrus has 4 primary species and was associated with a goddess in each species, right? So the cedar was associated with a goddess, right? Peep the correlation between male and female energy, because this is so important in our ancestors' writings and in our story. You know what I'm saying? You got to have that balance. You got to understand these principles, how they play out, because they try to, you know what I'm saying, subject them and hide them and be real one-sided with things and don't really, show you the full truth and understanding that. And that's why we get caught up in a lot of snares. But we have to understand the balance that our Creator brings within everything. You know what I'm saying? Because that's nature. So so it's start over. In its full range, cedrus has 4 primary species and was associated with a goddess in each species' native location, either as a consort of the goddess or personified as itself female, right? Or as a uniting perhaps phallic connector between the earth mother and God. Alright, peep game. In Anatolia, Turkey, the cedar of Lebanon was associated with a particularly violent form of Artemis. Alright, peep that. Particularly violent. Now we're talking about the warrior mother spirit. You know what I'm saying? Of course our enemy will look at it like, violent, as well as anything rebellious, you know what I'm saying? Especially when we're talking about mother, you know what I'm saying? So in the Himalayas, the deodar cedar was associated with the equally violent Kali Durga. Alright, we already know what time it is when we're dealing with Kali. We're dealing with destruction. You feel what I'm saying? Destroying of wicked, forces. You know what I'm saying? Called the root of the tree of the universal wisdom. And cypress cedar from the island of Cyprus was identified with the Aphrodite Urania, who killed or castrated her lovers and was as much more like the violent Artemis and Kali than the goddess of love we today associated with the name Aphrodite. Alright, so peep game. So what I want to do is I want to stroll down and I want to get this right here. Where we at? We're gonna start right here. It says the name of Lebanon is the same as the Semitic moon goddess Lebanon, she that is white. Alright, remember, like I say, when we were digging on Artemis, she was associated with chastity, right? Moral purity, right? When we dig up the etymology on white, we know in there we have moral purity. All right, so just rock with me. It says the name of Lebanon is the same as the Semitic moon goddess Lebanon, she that is white. It is no coincidence that the word for cedar, Erez, is nearly homonymous with the Hebrew words meaning heat or sun, so that we also find that cedar is associated with sun gods and weather gods throughout the biblical world. In ancient Egypt, the ceremonial barge of the god Amun-Ra was made of cedars, and ancient record states specifically that the cedar wood came from Lebanon. The idea of a moon goddess connected with the sun god via the higher cedars is not merely suggestive of Artemis and Apollo, Anath and Baal, Delilah and Samson, David and Bathsheba, but is still of signal importance in medieval and modern Kabbalah. The Sephoric emanation of God, alright, that's important. Known as earthly Sephora, actually known as Tiferet, beauty, dwells at the center of the Sephiroth tree and is the Sephiroth most closely identified with Yahweh. Alright. Tifereth is united weekly on the Sabbath with the lowermost or earthly Sephiroth, Malkuth, the lower Shekinah. Alright, very important for what we're getting into today. Or female emanation of God. Tifereth and Malkuth are united weekly in connubial bliss. Alright, which is why the Sabbath is the day is the day Kabbalists regard to as most erotic and fertile. Malkuth means kingdom and represents Israel as the bride of God. The word is a very close pun for queen, Malka, and the queen of heaven, right? Remember what they was said in the quote. If in the end I shall conquer, glorious will be the victory, but I shall owe it to the Queen of Angels, under whose protection I place myself, right? She is my refuge and my defense. Alright. So Malka and the Queen of Heaven, whom the women of Israel spoke of to in Jeremiah, is by later Kabbalists considered to be one and the same with the divine Shekinah. Alright, so keep all this in mind, though of course in Jeremiah's day it meant Anath, alright, who was Yahweh's bride at Bethel and remained so among the Jews of the Elephantine well into the Christian era. Alright, so it says, according to the Kabbalistic understanding, it was the Terpenes who called out from Mount Sinai to the Shekinah, "Come with me from Lebanon, my bride. Come with me from Lebanon." Psalms 4:8. While in the same erotic song, Solomon identifies Lebanon, right, the moon, as ideal feminine beauty. Alright, so Isaiah uses the name Lebanon when personifying the moon as confounded by God, and again in allegory of a heavenly future where Lebanon will be made as bright as the sun and the sun made 7 times as bright. A nearly feminist Jewish myth founded upon Isaiah 30:26 recount how Queen Lebanon, made on the 4th day of creation, one day after the cedars were brought forth, was originally the equal of King Sun, Shemesh, but she sought to rule the sky and to rule the sun. Thus God punished her, making the sun master. Such goddess usurpations myth occurred whenever goddess culture was supplanted by a preference for her consort. Alright. The nostalgic myth further asserts that Israel's golden age under Solomon was the only time when the sun and the moon regained their former equal brightness, when the father and the mother were in perfect accord, receiving equal honors. In Kabbalah, the clearly non-monotheistic biblical verses that incite such myths are explained by making the many emanations of God are a limited way of comprehending aspects of a one too vast for humanity to perceive in the entirety. And that is also why God has so many names that are plural, as in this case with Elohim, gods, and Adonai, Adonises. or with the feminine plurals as with Sabaoth. Now that's very important and that's very interesting because this is also the word to represent the host of the Most High, the army or his angels. So that's very important right there. You know what I'm saying? Or otherwise feminine, like the preferred Aramaic name Shekinah. Alright, God thus being simultaneously Earth Mother. Okay, peep the game, they are one. Frame and shaper, right? In ancient times it probably was just understood as a pantheon period, though the notion of process of an emanation is very old in Sanskrit literature and not necessarily unknown to very ancient Semitic peoples. Alright. So a cedar goddess is alluded to in the Song of Songs. Of her it is said, if she is a gate, we will enclose her with boards of cedar, from whence the midrash that presumes paradise is enclosed in cedar. The cedar doors of a gate symbolizes the vagina or entryway to the earthly mother's womb, and by extension any woman's womb. Hence the phrase, the gate of my mother's womb, the gate that seals the womb of the sea, or even the gate of heaven. This last elaborating a very archaic belief that death is not permanent because the spirit of the dead do not fully expire. They re-enter the womb of the divine mother, returning to the source. Alright, that's very important, you know what I'm saying, because especially when we talk about what we're talking about today, I do believe that this is a gate, you know what I'm saying, to the garden, you know what I'm saying, and that can be explained in so many ways, but we're gonna continue. So, you know, based on, you know, what we read from this article, very interesting that the name Lebanon is the same as the Semitic moon goddess Labana, right? She that is white. Now remember, like I said, Artemis represented chastity, purity, whiteness, right? More purity. So as well as you know, purification, you know what I'm saying, and incense. So now what's interesting is that Artemis was also represented by the moon, just as her brother Apollo was represented by the sun. Right, as you see this right here when we're talking about the moon god is connected with the sun god, right? So now understanding that, what's very interesting about that. Alright, so when you come over here to the Strongs, you look at H3842 Labana, right? We see it means moon as white, right? From 3835 white, the moon. Alright, white, the moon for the sun. Alright, here's some verses. Alright, who is she that looketh forth as the morning, fair as the moon, right? And the word is Labana. Alright, so just keep that in mind, you know what I'm saying? Come over here, it says from 3835, Lebanon, right, white. Alright, so see also 3838. Alright, Labana. Alright, Labana. Labana, right, moon, white, right? Head of families who return with Zerubbabel. Head of family of exiles who return with Zerubbabel. Interesting. The moon. Alright. So, you know, just with that in perspective, just understanding how it's interesting that Labana, you know, would represent a Semitic moon goddess. And even in the scriptures it's referred to as the moon. We know the moon is white, and we know that Lebanon and Laban also refers to white and whiteness. You know what I'm saying? So that's interesting. Now, what's also interesting about the word Labana is that go over here to H3828, and the word is Labana, right? Labana, right? Spelled a little differently, but it's the same. You know what I'm saying? And this is literally the word for frankincense in the scriptures, right? And incense, okay? So frankincense, right? A white resin, alright, burned as fragrant incense, is ceremonially, personally used in compounding the holy incense, right? Labana, frankincense, from its whiteness, right? Or perhaps that of its smoke, alright? Frank incense. Okay. Alright, so so-called from the white color of the purest frankincense. It is spoken of as growing not only in Arabia, but Palestine, da 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 da. Alright, so we go some verses when it's used. Alright, we shall pour oil upon it and put frankincense thereon, right? Lebanon. Alright, so now when we talk about Artemis, we talk about this feminine principle, right, that is joined to the Archangel Michael. That's what he requires, right? Now when we talking about land, you know what I'm saying, and how she's associated with that, and we know that she's connected with whiteness, purity, Labana, the moon, and now we know that she's connected with incense, right? Artemisia, right? Sage, mugwort, you know what I'm saying? Wormwood, you know what I'm saying? So, with that characteristic represented by Artemis, we should see that associated in the land, right? We should see incense now. But let's get into that just a little bit deeper, right? Because we understand that Lebanon means frankincense. Touch on frankincense for a second. Alright, frankincense. Old Lebanon, right? Alright, is an aromatic resin, alright, used in incenses and perfumes obtained from trees of the genus Boswellia, you know what I'm saying? The word is from Old French, frankincense, high quality incense. So the word frankincense literally means high quality incense. That's what it means. It means high quality incense, right? And that incense we know is we dealing with resins, right? So we're dealing with high quality resin or high quality incense, right? Now, which is very important because we know that this word in our scriptures is labana, right? So all right, down here, etymology, the English word for frankincense derived from the Old French expression franc incense, meaning high quality incense. The word franc in Old French meant noble or pure. All right. Okay. So yep. Let's see what else we want here. If you want anything else. All right. So real quick. Something that's very interesting is tapping is done 2 or 3 times a year, with the final taps producing the best tears due to their high aromatic terpenes, sesquiterpene, and deuterpene content. Now that's very important. We're gonna get into that a little later, but just so you know that these terpenes are present in frankincense. Very important. All right. So now we know that frankincense means high quality incense. Right, so high quality incense, but it's something that we must understand, you know what I'm saying, about incense. So let's just touch on a little bit of etymology, right? Now, when we look at incense, incense is gum or other substance producing a sweet smell when burned, right? Burnt incense, literally that which is burnt, all right? And cinder, right? Set on fire, smoke or perfume of incense, okay? Alright, to arouse. Alright, this is a verb, right? To arouse, inspire, set on fire, incite, enrage, rouse. To provoke anger, to heat, make something hot. Man. Now this is interesting. Incendiary. Let's go right here real quick. Person who sets malicious fires. An incendiary. Literally causing a fire, a person who inflames political passions. Incendiary, capable of being used to set fires. Man, oh my goodness. This reminds me of someone rather. From Latin, incendiaris, causing a fire, a burning, a fire. Conflagration, to set on fire, light up with fire. This is very interesting. Figurative sense of inflaming passions. It's very interesting, especially when you talk about revolution and things like that. Especially what we was talking about in our last video, and especially what this video entails. So that's very interesting. All right, so So we see in the etymology of incense, one of the first things we see is gum. Alright. So let's check out gum. Alright, gum is resin from dried sap of plants. Alright, very important, right? That's sap. Alright, medicinal gum, resin. Alright, so gum is resin. Alright. Alright, resin, gum, resin. Okay, resin is gum, gum is resin, right? Resin of pines. Alright, so understand. So when we're dealing with incense, we know incense is gum, gum is resin, right? We know high quality incense is what we call frankincense, which is literally resin. It's the resin of a particular tree, right? Now the resin is the dried sap, right? Now we know which trees produce a lot of sap. Well, there's a lot of trees that produce sap, but we know some of the main trees we know are coniferous trees. You know what I'm saying? A lot of our pines, so some of our cedars. You know what I'm saying? And things like that. So that's very important to understand that when we're dealing with this incense, we're really dealing with resin, right? And that resin being is a high quality form of incense, right? Straight out the tree, that resin. So that's very important. Alright, man. So, you know, when you take all that into account, man, and understanding how, you know, Artemis, that mother, that feminine spirit that Michael is joined to, how she's represented by the moon, how she's represented by purity and whiteness, how the moon is white. So you see a correlation within that when we're talking about Lebanon, right, or Lebanon. And then we see that she's also associated with incense, because she has herbs that we use for incense and purification named after her. So we're dealing with frankincense, right, which is Lebanon. Again, so when we're dealing with Lebanon, we know we're dealing with incense. You know what I'm saying? Purification, right? So now, if Michael if that's the feminine principle that Michael is joined to, if that's his land, so to speak, if that's where he would be joined to, we would see the characteristics of incense, purity, purification in the land, right? So, like I say, as I was riding through Oklahoma, I was thinking, where would that be? And it was crazy because I was in Oklahoma, because we know that's a place that so-called Cherokee were moved into after they named for the very place that I was thinking, after they came from the very place that I was thinking about, right? Which was the Great Smoky Mountains, because I began to see the smoke pillowing like towers, like pillars from the trees in the mountains, surrounding the mountain range. You know how the mountains look, you know what I'm saying, and things like that. So you know, that made my mind kind of go off, and I began to do a lot of thinking and building, and it led me to some crazy things. So I asked y'all to rock with me, you know what I'm saying. And it's very interesting because right after I left Oklahoma, as we passed through the states in between across the Mississippi, we drove through Tennessee, and on my shift, you know what I'm saying, I was driving through the Smoky Mountains, and I was able to see and literally hear what the Creator was showing me. So, you know, I'd like to share that with you. Alright, so coming over here to dig on the Great Smoky Mountains, man. It says the Great Smoky Mountains are a mountain range rising along Tennessee, North Carolina border in the southeastern United States. They are a sub-range of Appalachian Mountains, right, and form a part of the Blue Ridge physiographic province. The range is sometimes called Smoky Mountains. The name is commonly shortened to Smokies. Alright, so just want to jump down right here to show you why it's called the Smoky Mountains, right? So it says the name Smoky comes from the natural fog that often hangs over the range and presents as large smoke plumes from a distance. Alright, this fog is caused by the vegetation exhaling volatile organic compounds, chemicals that have a high vapor pressure and easily form vapors at normal temperatures and pressures. Alright, so understand that. So the reason why this mountain range is called the Smokies is because the trees literally exhale these volatile organic compounds, right? which are chemicals that have high vapor pressure. You know what I'm saying? So they vaporize it. You know what I'm saying? At high rates and provide this smoke plumes that just covers the mountain range. Man, it's a beautiful thing to behold. But when you really understand the in-depthness of this beautiful just orchestration, you know what I'm saying, by the hand of our Creator, man, it gets even more surreal. So, you know, let's continue to build. Alright, volatile organic compounds, right? VOCs are organic chemicals that have a high vapor pressure at ordinary room temperature, right? The high vapor pressure results from the low boiling point, which causes large numbers of molecules to evaporate or sublimate from the liquid or solid form of the compound and entering the surrounding air, alright? A trait known as volatility. For example, formaldehyde, which evaporates from paint and releases from materials like quartz, has a boiling point of only negative 19 degrees Celsius. Alright, VOCs are numerous, varied, and ubiquitous. Alright, they include both human-made and naturally occurring chemical compounds. Most scents or odors are of VOCs, right? VOCs play an important role in communication between plants and messages from plants, right? Some VOCs are dangerous to human health or cause harm to the environment, alright? Anthropogenic VOCs are regulated by law, especially indoors where concentrations are the highest, alright? Alright, bam, bam, bam. So peep that. Alright, so right, organic compound, right? So we're talking about volatile organic compounds, right? In chemistry, an organic compound is generally any compound that contains carbon. Alright, boom. You know what I'm saying? That's the gist of it, right? Organic literally means just the study of carbon. Anywhere carbon is, we know we're dealing with one organic substance, right? And we know that carbon is literally the element of life, right? That element of life. Well, you know that whatever carbon is, you know the Creator has been there creating. Now this is very important, right? This is very important. So keep that in mind, alright? Because it's gonna help us understand something here soon. Alright, so I'm gonna bring you over here to this this article right here. It's called Volatile Trees. It's on earthdata.nasa.gov. Alright, so the gauzy mists of the United States Great Smoky Mountains have inspired writers and painters for centuries, but the source of these mists is less than poetic. The Smoky Mountains are called smoky because of a chemical emission from trees, right? Said Jonathan Abbott, a professor at University of Toronto. Trees are often considered the lungs of the earth. Alright, peep that. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So inhaling the greenhouse gas carbon dioxide and exhaling harmless chemicals like water vapor and oxygen. Trees give off other particles, however, that may not be so benign. Once in the atmosphere, these fine particles can transform into aerosols, a component of air pollution. Alright, in large amounts, these chemicals create a visible haze when light is reflected off the tiny particles. However, it is not the mysterious appearance that causes concern, but the chemistry behind it. It's a peep game. Alright, although this haze may include chemicals from other sources, scientists have not yet been able to tell exactly how much. There has been a question about how much of those aerosol-forming chemicals are from trees or biogenic, and how much are from people or anthropogenic. Abbott said trees are supposed to clean the air, but might they be contributing to the amount of aerosols in the atmosphere too? Alright, so filtering the forest. The chemicals trees give off are called volatile organic compounds. Are already common in the atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? We tend to think of VOCs as indoor air quality problem being released when people paint, clean, or spray pesticides, or as the unhealthy smog that hangs over cities. Yet scientists estimate that trees and plants emit about 2/3 of the VOCs currently in the air. Very important. So these compounds are already prevalent. Why are they a problem? The natural VOCs produced by trees are not as toxic to human health as those emitted by paint and pesticides, which can cause headache and irritation of irritate our eyes and lungs. However, once in the atmosphere, all VOCs react with other airborne chemicals to form air pollution. Alright, now check this out. Abbott and some of his colleagues at Environment Canada had noticed previous research suggesting tree emissions contributing to the atmospheric chemical mix. So they decided to conduct their own investigation in regions affected by forest emissions north of Toronto, Canada. Sorting out trees' contribution to atmospheric haze was not easy, complicated by the fact that not all trees emit the same compound. Now check this out. For instance, pine trees emit a class of chemical called terpenes, alright, responsible for the tree's sticky resin and pine scent. Okay. Terpenes are used to produce turpentine and furniture varnishes, as well as frankincense and myrrh. Bam! Now understand that these terpenes, right, are the key components within frankincense and myrrh. Not only just frankincense and myrrh, but incense, period, right? These organic compounds called terpenes have a lot to do with the psychoactive and neurological effects that incense has on the human chemistry. You know what I'm saying? So that's very important. Now, what this article has told us, that pine trees, the type of organic compounds that they emit are specifically these terpenes, and they're responsible for the sticky resin and the pine scent, right? And we know that frankincense is high quality incense, right? It's resin, high quality resin. Alright, so this is very important, man. Keep all of this in mind. Alright, so coming over here, man, to terpene, right? Terpenes, and as you can see, you know what I'm saying, over here, what you see pine sap, right? Resin, you know what I'm saying? Many terpenes are derived commercially from conifer resins, right? Many terpenes are derived commercially from conifer resins, right? Such as those made by this pine. Alright, check it out. Alright, so terpenes are a large and diverse class of organic compounds produced by a variety of plants, particularly conifers. Okay, again, particularly conifers. Alright. And by some insects. They often have a strong odor and may protect the plants that produce them by deterring herbivores and attracting predators and parasites of herbivores. Now this is so important because this is so deep on so many levels. And when you understand how the land protects us and provide refuge, and how it can emit certain things to influence chemistry, you know what I'm saying, to protect the inhabitants thereof, the plants, the creation thereof, you know what I'm saying. And not only can it deter the enemy, but it can also attract the predator of the enemy, right? And we know who the apex is in the heavens, so you got to understand, right, how this is all correlative. Okay, so it say although sometimes used interchangeably with terpenes, terpenoids, or isoprenoids, are modified terpenes as they contain additional functional groups, usually oxygen containing. Terpenes are hydrocarbons. All right, very important. All right, that's very important. Now we're gonna touch on that. You know what I'm saying? In another video, but you know, just so you know, those hydrocarbons, these organic compounds are the basic elements of life. You know what I'm saying? These are the creating, you know, elements, of chemicals, if you will. But you know what I'm saying, not to get too far ahead. Terpenes are a major component of rosin and of turpentine produced from resin. The name terpene is derived from the word turpentine, an obsolete form of the word turpentine. Alright. Terpenes are also major biosynthetic building blocks. See what I'm saying? Steroids, for example, are derivatives of tetraterpenes, squalene. Alright, so terpenes and terpenoids are the primary constituents of essential oils, alright, and of many types of medicinal plants and flowers. Essential oils are usually widely as fragrance in perfumery and in medicine and in alternate medicines such as aromatherapy. Alright, so we're talking about incense, you feel me? These are the major components and constituents of incense, right? This is, like I say, this is these are the chemicals that's having that effect on your chemistry to make you feel or experience things the way you do because of this aroma. You know what I'm saying? Synthetic variations and derivations of natural terpenes and terpenoids also greatly expand the variety of aromas used in perfumery and flavors used in food additives. Vitamin A is a terpene. Okay. Scroll down, man. Dig on these terpenes because this is very important. Alright. Let's say, man, check this side. Say higher amounts of terpenes, I'm right here, are released by trees in warmer weather. In fact, they are proposed to act as a natural form of cloud seeding. Dig on that. That's interesting as hell. The clouds reflect sunlight, allowing the forest temperature to regulate. Okay, now that's your homework, because that's so important that it's crazy. The aroma and flavor of hops comes in part from sesquiterpenes, which affect beer quality. Terpenes are also major constituents of cannabis sativa plants, which contain at least 120 identified compounds. Alright, it said it's believed that these aromatic compounds might modulate the effect of cannabinoids in the body, enhancing their properties. You see, this phenomenon is usually known as the entourage effect. Okay, so peep that. Alright, man. So, you know, with all that in mind, and understanding why the Smoky Mountains is called Smoky, because of the trees literally emitting these volatile organic compounds. And it says right here that the smoke is caused by the vegetation in the land exhaling volatile organic compounds. Now that's very important, man, for a number of reasons. And let's get into some etymology. So when we look at exhale, right, transitive, originally of liquids, perfumes, alright, etc. Alright, breathe out, evaporate, right, breathe, of living things, to breathe out, alright. Exhalation, the act of exhalation, that is, which is exhale, okay, and exhalation, vapor, okay, peep game, to breathe out, alright. So breath, right, odor, scent, stink, right, exhalation, right, vapor, okay, here we go with vapor again, alright. So Old English word for air exhaled from the lungs, right? Breath, right? Now understand, because remember from this article, it said that that trees are often considered the lungs of the earth, right? So the breath is air exhaled from the lungs. So if the trees are the lungs, this breath, you know what I'm saying, is being exhaled from the trees. Now this is very important for a particular reason, right? Smell, exhalation, breath, steam, to breathe, all right, smell, all right, the ability to breathe, okay, breathe, to draw air into and expel it from the lungs, to inhale and exhale, all right, so, you know, so we know what it is, but the reason why this is important, because when we're dealing with breath, we know we're dealing with what? Okay, hold on, even before that, like, when you look right here, meaning the ability to breathe, hence life, right? Single act of breathing, all right? You see right here, life, all right? So, when you think about breath, we know we're dealing with what? We know we're dealing with spirit, right? So, so let's get it, right? Spirit, animating or vital principle in man and animals, right? Life force, right? Spirit, soul, and directly from Latin spiritus, a breathing, right? Respiration of the wind, breath, breath of a god, right? Inspiration, breath of life, right? Life, right? Just like breath, right? Also, disposition, character, high spirit, vigor, courage, pride, arrogance, all right? You feel me? To breathe, right? Related to spirar, to breathe, all right? So we know that when we're dealing with the breath, we're dealing with spirit, okay? So that we know that when the trees exhale these volatile organic compounds, they're literally putting a spirit into the air, breath, right? The breath of the Creator, right? Now we know from Psalms 110, what? Excuse me, fam. Psalms 104, not 110. But at Psalm 104, verse 4, he say what? He say, who maketh his angels spirits, right? His ministers a flaming fire, right? So we know, like we got a last video, you know what I'm saying? His angels are spirits. Now, coming down to verse 16, it says what? The trees of the Lord are full of sap, right? The cedars of Lebanon, which he have planted. So we know sap produces what? Resin, right? Which gives us incense. So the trees of the Lord are full of incense. The cedars of Lebanon, which he have planted. Alright, so keep all that in mind. Alright, finish touching on the etymology and spirit, right? Meaning, second paragraph, meaning supernatural, immaterial creature, right? Angel, boom. Alright, demon and apparition, invisible corporeal being of an airy nature, right? So we just got that the Most High makes his spirit, his angel spirit, right? And even in the etymology of spirit, we have angel, all right? A nature, right? Character, right? Essential principle of something, all right? All right, jump down. Now check this out. From late 14th century in alchemy as volatile substance. Bam, check that out. Distillate, right? Substance capable of uniting the fixed and the volatile elements of the philosopher's stone. Hence, spirits, volatile substance. Alright, boom, peep that. Alright, now peep game, because it's not far-fetched to understand how these angels, these spirits, can be related and associated with these volatile organic compounds. Now we're going to break it down for you on the next video, but I need you to get this basis right here before we even do that. All right, so you'll understand why it's even important. Okay, so when we're digging on volatile, right, we're digging on fine or light, right, evaporating rapidly, right, volatile, right, volatilis, fleeting, transitory, swift, rapidly, flying, winged, right, from past participle stem of valere to fly, see volant, readily changing, flighty, fickle. Volatiles in Middle English meant birds, butterflies, and other winged creatures. Alright, peep that. Alright, volant. Alright, let's see what that flying. Okay, able to fly, right? Literally, to fly. A sense of to steal via the transitive meaning to make fly. Alright, so understand that. So literally, we got to understand that these volatile organic compounds, to be volatile is to make fly. Anything winged, right? Which is why when you see these angels, we know that they're particularly winged. They're winged creatures. So it's easy to understand how when we're looking at the etymology of spirit, right, we get volatile substance, right? Substance capable of uniting the fixed and the volatile elements of the philosopher's stones. Hence spirits, right? Volatile substance, right? These are winged creatures. These are things that fly, right? To be volatile is to make fly. So when the organic compounds reach a certain, pressure point, they become volatile, right? They grow wings, they fly, right? Now understand something, right? When we understand organic compounds, like I say, we got to understand these are the angels, right? The spirits of the Creator, and we can identify that in an interesting way. All right. So now when we talk about angels, we know angels do the work of the Creator, right? They do the work of the Most High. They're His messengers. Okay. Now, what's interesting is when we understand organic, we know organic is literally what? An organic compound is anything that has carbon, right, in its infrastructure, in its chemistry, right? That's what makes it organic. Now we know carbon, like I said, is that life element, the element of life, right? We know wherever carbon is, that's where, the Creator has been creating life is. You feel what I'm saying? So understand something. When we look at the etymology of organic, serving as an organ or instrument, right? organicos, of or pertaining to an organ, serving as instruments or engines, right? Instrument, right? Organ, form from organized living beings, okay? Free from pesticides and fertilizers. Okay, let's go to organ. All right, the root of the word organic is organ, right? Both meaning musical instrument, both from Latin organo, or organum, a musical instrument, right? From Greek organum, implement, tool for making or doing, musical instrument, organ of sense, organ of the body, literally that which one works, okay, to do. Now we got to understand something, because that's giving us some real important drop right there, right? Organ literally means a tool for making or doing, an instrument, something which one does work with. So if the angels of the Most High are the things that he used to do his work, right? What is his work? He is the creator, right? The creator creates. So if the angels do the work of the Most High, then they help him create. So it's very interesting to understand how these organic compounds, these chemicals, right, that float around through the emission of the trees, through the breath, the spirit of the creator, are angels in a sense, because they do the work. They create. These are the building blocks of creation, right? They do the work of the Most High. These are angels, right? And so we know one thing, that when these angels, when they get to a certain point, right, so to speak, they grow wings and they become volatile, right, and they fly. Now this is very important for many reasons, you know what I'm saying? But what's interesting is you got to understand that the exhalation, the breath, the spirit released by these trees house a angel, a principality. You feel what I'm saying? A spirit. So let's get into it. All right, so we're gonna validate the presence, or the presence of a spirit or angel being in the smoke exhaled or emitted by the vegetation, right? Now, I got to say, man, you know, this information is very important, man. It's very vital. Like, this ain't, you know, really nothing to play with. And, you know, I had to, you know, even wonder if I should even put it out like this, but the information in itself gives me confidence to go ahead and release it and put it out, because you know, at the end of the day, man, these battle plans, you know, these are strategies. So, like, you know, you would wonder, like, man, should you really just be releasing this on public platforms like this? But at the same time, when you understand this information and this particular battle plan, like, there's nothing nobody can do about it. It don't matter who try to stop what, it don't matter. Because when you understand what's going on, what's present, how it affects what, it don't matter. Like, it ain't nothing you can do. So, you know, with that confidence and refuge, just gives me, you know what I'm saying, the comfortability to go ahead and release the information, man, because this is powerful. It don't matter who see it, it don't matter who know it, because it ain't nothing you can do about it. You know what I'm saying? And if you rebellious, I really, man, I really feel bad for you in a sense, because you definitely, you know what I'm saying, don't want nothing to do with this, you know. So, alright, so, you know, continue. You know what I'm saying? Very interesting chapter right here, because it has a lot to do with this video, you know what I'm saying? But just right now, we're just going to touch on a certain aspect of it. But it's very interesting what this information, what this chapter right here gives us, the information that it gives us, the insight, right? So we're talking about the Day of Atonement, right, which is very important for this information, for this video, but we're going to get into that later. Alright, so we're talking about the Day of Atonement. We're in Leviticus 16, right? Now check this out. It says, the Lord spake unto Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron, when they offered before the Lord and died. And the Lord said unto Moses, speak unto Aaron thy brother, that he come not at all times into thy holy place within the veil before the mercy seat which is upon the ark, that he die not, for I will appear in the cloud upon the mercy seat. Alright, now bam, peep that, because it's telling us something, right? So we telling them, you know what I'm saying, just don't come into the holy place all the time, you know what I'm saying, because, you know, I'm going to be, you know what I'm saying, in there. So, you know what I'm saying, you have to have the consecrated, you know, we know the Day of Atonement was one day out of the year when he would go in and do his service, you know what I'm saying. So when we see that when when the offering was presented in a way that was not accepted, lives was taken. So now what this is telling us right here is the Most High saying that upon the mercy seat of the ark, upon the ark, right, is the mercy seat, and he's saying that upon the mercy seat, he said that he will appear in the cloud, right? So he will appear in the cloud upon the mercy seat. All right. Now that's very interesting and important, because when we jump down, right, and go to verse 12 and 13, check out what it say. It say, and he shall take a censer full of burning coals of fire from off the altar before the Lord, and his hands full of sweet incense beaten small, and bring it within the veil. Now, and it says, and he shall put the incense upon the fire before the Lord, right? That the cloud of the incense may cover the mercy seat that is upon the testimony. All right, so peep that, right? So he telling them that he shall put the incense upon the fire, right, before the Lord, that the cloud of incense may cover the mercy seat of the ark. You feel what I'm saying? Now, the Most High just told us in verse 2 that what? He said, for I will appear in the cloud upon the mercy seat. So that shows you that when incense is put on the altar, the smoke from the incense literally provides the Shekinah, right? The divine presence of the Creator. There is his spirit is in the smoke, right? Let's get it again. He say what? I will appear in the cloud upon the mercy seat, right? He said, he shall put incense upon the fire before the Lord, that the cloud of incense may cover the mercy seat that is upon the testimony. So the cloud that is upon the mercy seat is the cloud of incense. And in that very cloud, the presence of the Creator is there. You feel what I'm saying? Communing with the priest on the Day of Atonement. That's very important. Alright, so I want to show you another instance that kind of shows and prove how there is an angel or a spirit present within the smoke. So here we have the instance in Exodus, right? When our ancestors was leaving Egypt, and they were walking through the wilderness, wandering through the wilderness and things like that. Alright, so you see they started to get a little, rebellious and kind of question God and things like that. And Moses, at verse 13 tells, the people to fear not, and stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show you today. Show to you today. For the Egyptians who you have seen today, you shall see them again no more forever. All right, just imagine how amazing that would have been to see your presence for the last time. And you know what I'm saying? Like, oh man. He said, the Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. All right, so the Lord is going to fight for his people. And the Lord said unto Moses, wherefore criest thou unto me, speaking to the children of Israel, that they go forward. All right, that they go forward. All right, so all right, and so he said, and behold, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them, and I will get mine honor upon Pharaoh, and upon all the hosts, and upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. All right, and the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, and his chariots, and upon his horsemen. All right, now check this out. Pay attention to this verse right here, because it's very important. Right? It's very important, and it give you, man, profound insight. Check it out. It say, and the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of cloud went before their face and stood behind them. Now peep the verse. Alright, because I'm going to read it again. Alright, now check it out. It say, and the angel, and peep how it's written. You know what I'm saying? It says, and the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. Semicolon. And the pillar of cloud went from before their face and stood behind them. I'm going to read it again. And the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of cloud went before their face and stood behind them. Alright, so bam, it literally telling you right there that the angel in the pillar of cloud is literally the same thing. The angel of God is in the pillar of cloud. You feel what I'm saying? Check it out. And the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. So the angel was in front of them, then he went behind them. Then it says the pillar of cloud went from before their face and stood behind them. So the pillar of cloud was in front of them, then it went behind them, right? In the same verse. You know what I'm saying? Semicolon is literally telling you that the angel in the pillar of cloud are one. The angel of God is in the pillar of cloud. The angel of protection, Michael, is in the smoke. Got to dig it. Alright, so jumping down from verse 19 to verse 20, it says, and it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel. And it was a cloud and darkness to them, but it gave light by night to these, so that one came not near the other all night. So understand, the cloud is literally providing refuge for Israel because it's keeping them away from the Egyptians. Right? The angel in the cloud is providing darkness. It's dark where the Egyptians at, but the Israelites are wandering in light. They can see. But this is all through the cloud and the spirit therein. You feel what I'm saying? Jumping down to verse 23. It says, and the Egyptians pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea, right? Meaning when they went into the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning watch the Lord looked upon the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of the cloud and troubled the host of the Egyptians, right? So, and then it said, and took off their chariot wheels and drove them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, let us flee from the face of Israel. The Lord fighteth for them against the Egyptians. So peep that. Alright, the Lord is literally in the cloud looking, you know what I'm saying, at the Egyptians, troubling them. Because you got to understand, that's why I say it don't matter who get this drop or what. Who, if the enemy know what, because when you understand these trees in this mountain range, they emit organic compound, volatile organic compounds, these terpenes that are literally the basis of incense, that have psychoactive, neurological effects, hallucinogenic properties. You feel what I'm saying? Depending on how the land wants to influence your biology, just depends on what it chooses to release in the air that we breathe, you know, provided by the trees. So when you understand, when the camp of, you know what I'm saying, is in the wilderness, man, you feel me? When you in this place where these angels are roaming through the smoke, through the wind as it blows, being spread across the mountain range, you know what I'm saying? And when you breathe in that, you don't understand what effects that could have on the enemy. You feel what I'm saying? Especially when the land knows the enemy's intent. You feel what I'm saying? Because like I say, these terpenes are emitted when trouble is in the land, when there is an enemy present. These terpenes, you know what I'm saying, are emitted. We're going to get into that, you know, on the next video. But like I say, you know, just to get the basics, you got to understand, right? They could think they're looking for the camp, and they can think they're getting close to the camp, but because their mind is so influenced by the psychoactive properties in the air, man, they could be going way out the other end of the mountain range. Or they could think they're seeing something that they're not, and they could see the army of God, you feel what I'm saying, coming, and it could be very frightful, and it could run them away. Like, you know what I'm saying, you just got to dig, you got to understand the effects that you know what I'm saying, the just natural phenomenon that's going on in the land have for us, for his children. It's always been there, and it's always there, just waiting on us to come back to the Creator, right? To seek him at his face. Alright, man, so, you know, digging on that aspect, man, want to come over here to the pillar of cloud and touch on a few things, right? Since we know we were just over there in Exodus, right? When the Most High was showing his presence through the cloud, right? So we understand from Leviticus 16, we understand how the Most High is present is in the cloud of incense over the mercy seat, right? What is in the smoke of incense is volatile organic compounds, terpenes, right? These angels, these spirits, you feel what I'm saying? the presence of the Creator, right? We understand in Exodus, right? The angel went in front of the children of Israel, then went behind them, and so did the pillar of cloud. But it's one and the same. The angel's presence is in the cloud. You feel what I'm saying? So, so anyways, continuing, it says a pillar of cloud was one of the manifestations of the presence of God, of the God of Israel in the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, which appear at the beginning of the Old Testament Bible. According to Exodus, the pillar of cloud guided the Israelites by day during the Exodus, right? Exodus from Egypt, right? Very important and very relevant, all right? The pillar of cloud is traditionally paired with the manifestation of the divine presence by night as the pillar of fire, which provided light. This was so they could travel by day and night, right? In the midst of just being sought out by their oppressors. So, like I said, the pillar of cloud is traditionally paired with the manifestation of the divine presence. All right, so let's get this divine presence. All right, so the divine presence is none other than the Shekinah, right? The Shekinah, right? In English transliteration of a Hebrew word meaning dwelling or settling, and denotes the dwelling and settling of the presence of God, of the divine presence of God, right? This term does not occur in the Bible and is from rabbinic literature, all right? Shekinah is derived from the Hebrew verb strong 7932, the Semitic root meaning to settle, inhabit, or dwell. This abstract noun is not present in the Bible and is first encountered in the rabbinic literature. The root word is often referred to birds nesting in nests. Every fowl dwells near its kind, and man near its equal, and can also mean neighbor if 2 Tobias appeared, of whom was a neighbor and the other the scholar being given precedent. All right. The word for the tabernacle, mishkan, is a derivative of the same root and is used in the sense of dwelling place, right? We know the temple, right? What? The mishkan, tabernacle, temple, houses the presence of the Creator, right? The Shekinah, all right? The dwelling place, right? So that root, Shekinah, right? That means settled, inhabit, dwell, is right here in Mishkan, right? Where you see this root, Shekinah. It's in Mishkan, which is the word for tabernacle, right? So it says, till I find a place for the Lord, a dwelling and a mighty one of Jacob, a dwelling for the mighty one of Jacob. How beautiful are the tents of Jacob, your dwelling places, Israel. Wherefore the word your dwelling places, Mishkenotika. Alright. Okay. The Shekinah refers to a dwelling or settling in a special sense, a dwelling or settling of divine presence. To the effect, while in proximity to Shekinah, the connection to God is more readily perceivable. See what I'm saying? While in proximity to the Shekinah, the connection of God is more readily perceivable. This is very important. So the closer you are to the Shekinah, divine presence of God, the more God is perceivable, right? The more the Most High you're able to perceive Him, you're able to see Him, right, face to face in the wilderness, like you're supposed to, right? So, so continuing, all right, it says manifestation. Actually, meaning in Judaism, the Shekinah represents the feminine attributes of the presence of God. Shekinah being a feminine word in Hebrew based especially on the readings of the Talmud, right? All right, so we know, right, that right, the Shekinah is the feminine attribute of the presence of God, right? Wherever God has settled, dwelled, because we know the feminine energy has a more potential, is more associated with like potential energy. The masculine energy is more associated with like the kinetic energy, right? The moving, right? But that feminine principle is associated with that stored energy. So wherever the Most High settle and dwell, it represents a feminine attribute of God, right? Understand that, right? Because even when we know the Creator who creates, we even know, you know what I'm saying, just like the womb and the woman creates, you know what I'm saying, this is a feminine principle. in a sense. You feel what I'm saying? Don't get too crazy. You know what I'm saying? In a sense, if you understand what I'm saying. Right? So continuing on. So now that's very interesting because, right, we was looking at the pillar of cloud, and it told us that the pillar of cloud is traditionally paired with the manifestation of the divine presence, right? Because a pillar of cloud was one of the manifestations of the presence of God. So the presence of God, the divine presence, that manifestation we call the Shekinah, right? And so that Shekinah was in the pillar of cloud. Now, that's very interesting, man, considering what we're talking about and the land in the particular area of the mountain range we're talking about. Because let's get it. Now, before we even do that, you know what I'm saying, I just want to come over here to Blue Letter Bible real quick and just search some verses that had the word cloud in it, right? And you can see in the first verses in Genesis, the Most High is saying that he set his bow in the cloud, and it should be for a token of a covenant between me and thee, right? And he say, and the bow shall be seen in the cloud, right? And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it that I will remember the everlasting covenant. So not only is the presence of the Shekinah an angel in the cloud, but there's also a covenant within that cloud. Now that's so important when we talk about, you know what I'm saying, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but just keep that in mind, you feel what I'm saying? Because we know what we're supposed to join ourselves to, right, when we go into the wilderness, especially digging on Ezekiel 20, right? So, you know, they went by a pillar of cloud. The Lord went before them in the pillar of cloud. You know what I'm saying? And the angel of God. Oh, okay, we got that verse. Let's see. All right, and the glory of the Lord appeared in the cloud. All right, and the glory of the Lord appeared in the cloud. And the Lord said unto Moses, Lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, right, that the people may hear when I speak with thee and believe thee forever. All right, so you can see certain cases, man, where the Most High, his angels, his spirit is coming in the presence. His presence is coming in the cloud, in the smoke. You feel what I'm saying? Now, like I say, the reason why it's important, man, to understand the Shekinah that dwells in the smoke, right, and how that correlates just to the land we're talking about. Because when you understand what our ancestors called the land that we building on, man, it's very amazing. I'm bringing you over here to this article from Visit My Smokies. It's called "What Makes the Smoky Mountains Smoky," right? Now, it's interesting that there's 144K shares. I just find that interesting. See that number right there. Anyway, say anyone who has visited the Great Smoky Mountains can confirm that the Smokies certainly live up to their name, right? Being smoky. Alright. The mountains of East Tennessee and Western North Carolina are blanketed with a smoky haze that gives the region an almost magical quality. Indeed, the Cherokee consider the mountains to be a sacred place and referred to the area as Shekinah, land of the blue smoke. When European settlers arrived in early 1800s, they took inspiration from the Cherokee language and they named the Great Smoky Mountains and the nearby Blue Ridge Mountains. Alright, so bam, understand. The Cherokee literally named the mountain Shekinah, meaning the land of the blue smoke. Now, if you look at the word Shekinah, we can literally see Shekinah, right? You clearly see Shekinah, right? Look at it. It said the Cherokee referred to this place as Shekinah, right? Shekinah, Shekinah, right? Very interesting, very similar, right? Shekinah, right? The Shekinah. Now remember what it said. The Semitic root means to settle, inhabit, or dwell, right? Which is Shekinah, right? Sakan, right? Mishkan, Shekinah, right? So they literally called the place Shekinah. So we're talking about the settling, dwelling, right? The Shekinah, divine Shekinah, that even our ancestors knew was present in this mountain range. You feel what I'm saying? And they named it Shekinah, right? Look at the hay. We know from the ancient Hebrew alphabet. I don't know if y'all can see this, but we know hey, right? Hey, man with arms raised, look, reveal, breathe, right? Breath, spirit, right? Exhalation. We talking about spirit. There we go again, right? With the breath. So with them, you know what I'm saying, naming the place Shekinah, they were literally calling it the divine dwelling and settling of the breath, of the spirit, of the great spirit, right? Alright, to break down the word even further, we had the strong 7931, right? Shekinah, right? Shekinah. Right? Dwell, right? Abide, place, remain, inhabit, rest, right? Set, continue, dwellers, dwelling, right? Settle down, abide, dwell, tabernacle, to settle down. Abide, dwell, reside, right? Make, settle down, establish. You see what I'm saying? Shekinah, right? Shekinah. Shekinah, right? Shekinah, Shekinah. Alright. So, to make dwell, right? So, Shekinah, we're dealing with dwell, right? Settle down, i.e., pillar of fire and cloud, right? Let oneself down to settle down. Pillar of fire and cloud, right? The Shekinah, right? Shekinah. Alright, so now when you look at the second part of the word, we have oh hey, right? And like we said, even hey, dealing with the breath, so we know we're dealing with the great spirit. The dwelling of the great spirit. But when you look at this, what's interesting, man, the brother Peru brought this to my attention. Shouts out to the brother, man. When you look at this word, oh hey, right, take it over here to the Strong's H161, right? Check this out, a hey, right? It means will, right? Where, apparition of, and apparently an orthographical variation from 346, where I will be, right? Which often is rendered in the same Hebrew form 1961. Now check that out. The word is elsewhere here the same as where, right? Where then is the king? Okay, I will be thy king, right? I will, right? So in a sense it means I will be, right? I will be. So when you look at a he, meaning I will be, and Shekinah, meaning dwelling, inhabiting, you know what I'm saying? Residing, you know, our ancestors literally named this place, right? The place where the great spirit will be residing, right? And that's very important for their descendants, because we know one thing about the Shekinah is that while in proximity to Shekinah, the connection of God is more readily perceivable. So in order for us to truly see the Creator, we have to be close to His presence, to the place where His Spirit was, and that's going to be very vital in these times coming when we join ourselves back, you know what I'm saying, to the Creator, right? So our ancestors literally called this place the place where the Creator spirits dwell, and that's very important, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna jump over here to this article, right? This article by NASA, place of the blue smoke, right? Because not only, you know what I'm saying, we know that Shekinah is dealing with the divine dwelling of the Creator. Now it's interesting that they would call the land of blue smoke a name that's very similar to Shekinah, which means the divine presence of the Creator, especially when we've been building and we know that the divine presence of the Creator is in the smoke. But it was something very interesting about the fact that the name referred to blue smoke. You know what I'm saying? So just another article right here from NASA, the place of blue smoke, right? It said Cherokee Indians, the original inhabitants of the area, called these dark fog-streaked hills Shekinah, the place of blue smoke, right? Scientists say the Great Smoky Mountains owe that color to a natural process. Plants exhale volatile organic compounds, gases that react with other substances in the air, creating aerosols. These aerosols can cause a short wavelengths of light at the blue-violet end of the spectrum to scatter, creating a bluish haze. Alright, very interesting. Let me go back, because I know they have something to say about that. Right, what makes it blue, right? And this is no joke, man. You know what I'm saying? I've been all up through these mountains, man. I actually went camping up there, on my birthday, born day, you know what I'm saying, back in June. So, yeah, man, spent 3 days in the mountains with the brothers, man. Beautiful experience, man. Just after just coming across this information, man, I had to go. You know what I'm saying? That was no question. You know what I'm saying? But man, this place, man, is I can see why this place has been given the honor and the duty to play a role for a very special people of the creators, like it has been. You know, so. It says, what makes it blue? While the VOCs help explain what makes the Smoky Mountains smoky, they are also responsible for the fog's blue appearance. When the vapor is released from the area's vegetation, the molecules that make up the gas scatter blue light from the sky. It is this phenomenon that creates what the Cherokee call blue smoke, right? Shekinah. Alright. The same bluish tint that you find in the Smokies can be seen elsewhere in the country, and it forests with a great deal of pine trees, such as the Acadia National Park in Maine, will also have a bluish haze. Alright, peep game now. So it said the Great Smoky Mountains are particularly blue and smoky because they have perfect natural conditions for the trees that are common in the region have high concentration of VOCs, right? Trees of the Lord are full of sap, right? Full of incense. They got a lot of volatile organic compounds to exhale. That scatter blue light. Also, the Smokies get a lot of rainfall and sunlight, experience high levels of humidity, and have a lot of stagnant air. When you take all of those factors into account, you got a recipe for some of the most beautiful mountains in the world. Alright, so just show you a few pictures, man, of these mountains, man. Certain times of the day, man, when it's so visible, man, I mean, these mountains are really blue. You know what I'm saying? Blue, indigo, violet, like I said, blue, violet. When you understand this color spectrum is very important. It plays a very important role into why these mountains are important for us as well. And the presence in it is very important. You know what I'm saying? But man, beautiful. Just look at that blue tint, man. But it's the reason why it's blue smoke. And if we're talking about a particular entity or angel being present in the smoke, it's very interesting how this correlates. Alright, man. So I got to, come over here and show some love, man, to the purple nettle, man, because it helped me discover something very profound. Wow, it's crazy because so remember I was telling you, right? I was driving through Oklahoma when I was thinking about just the basic fundamentals of this information, right? The place where the Cherokee had supposedly went after they came from the Smokies, right? Didn't leave in Oklahoma, you know what I'm saying? Driving through Arkansas and then into Tennessee, you know what I'm saying? Into the Smokies, going through the Smokies, we went up I-81, through the Blue Ridge Mountains, right? The Blue Ridge, the mountains, the blue. I mean, this mountain range is one of my favorite places in the world, man. It represents a beautiful aspect of the earth, man. It's a beautiful combination of blue and green, right? Especially like in the spring and in the summer when the leaves are out and they're green, and the smoke is blue and the mountains are blue and the land is green. It's just crazy, man. It's beautiful, man. So we went up I-81, man, and I was in Maryland, I was in Baltimore, and me and my co-driver, man, we were walking, man, and I had and it was a whole bunch of these purple nettles, man, on the side of the street, and so I you know what I'm saying, I was like, man, look at these purple nettles, you know what I'm saying, we were talking about it, and he asked me, he was like, yeah, man, what's this good for again? And I was like, I forgot, man, let me go check it out. And let me go see. So I went to Google, you know what I'm saying, this true story, like I said, right after I had rolled through the Smoky Mountains in Oklahoma thinking all this stuff, man. So I'm like, let me go check it out. And so I went, you know what I'm saying, and I Googled purple nettle, right? And I pulled up the Wikipedia page for it. And it was interesting what I found, man. So when I went you know what I'm saying, to the Wikipedia page for the purple nettle, I seen that it was also called Purple Archangel, right? Now, I've been building on Michael, been building on this, that, and the third, so, that just hit me. I'm like, what? Like, why would this herb, especially building on Artemis, being associated with herbs and incense, as well as being associated with Michael. It was just interesting to see her being called Purple Archangel. So, you know, I went to Google Purple Archangel just to see if I can get some more information on why the plant was even called that. Alright, so when I did that, you know, when I Googled Purple Archangel, I started what I got instead of, you know, the purple nettle or information on it was a system of colors that's associated with archangels. Something I hadn't really heard before, but it was very interesting. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay. So I kept it in the back of my mind. So later on that day, you know, I'm doing research. I'm thinking about the Smoky Mountains, and you know, I just, you know, I'm thinking about the blue smoke, and you know why the smoke might be just blue in particular. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm thinking about the spirit, the angel that's present in the smoke, right? So we got blue smoke, then we got a presence of an angel, the great spirit, you know what I'm saying, a particular characteristic of the creator present in the smoke. So I'm like, you know what, let me see something. I'm like, let me try something, you know what I'm saying? So later on that day, like, no lie, man, true story. I Googled, I was like, let me Google blue archangel. Let me see what I get, you know what I'm saying? So I Googled blue archangel. And so with the little whole new system of, you know, of colors and archangel, you know what I'm saying, that I hadn't really, you know, heard of, it was very interesting because the first thing I seen was this. Alright, angel colors, the blue light ray, led by Archangel Michael. Bam! No lie. The blue ray represents power, protection, faith, and strength. The blue angel ray represents power, protection, faith, courage, right? That old goon, right? And strength. The ray is part of the metaphysical system of angel colors based on 7 different light rays: blue, yellow, pink, white, green, red, and purple. Some people believe that the light waves of the 7 angel colors vibrate at different electromagnetic energy frequencies in the universe, attracting the angels that have similar kinds of energy, right? We're talking principalities, right? Others believe that the colors are just fun ways of symbolizing the different types of missions that God sends angels on to help people. All right, so I'm gonna have blue light ray and Archangel Michael. Michael, the leader of all holy angels, is in charge of the blue angel light ray. All right, peep that. Michael is known for his exceptional strength and courage, right? Remember what we was talking about on the last video, right? That old goon, right? Courage, Michael. He's a leader who fights for good to prevail over evil, right? He protects and defends people who love God. People sometimes ask for Michael's help to gain the courage they need to overcome fears and obtain the strength to resist temptations to sin instead of doing what's instead do what's right and stay safe in dangerous situations, right? And stay safe in dangerous situations. Alright, boom. So peep that. You feel me? The blue light ray is associated with the Archangel Michael. So the blue ray on the electromagnetic, you know, the different wavelengths of colors and energy, the blue ray is represented by the Archangel Michael. Alright, take you over here to another article, right? Angels and colors, you know what I'm saying? Kind of give you some more information on that, dig on it. You know, since 7 main colors of angelic light, right? Blue, clear communication and expression, protection through firm boundaries in space, spiritual assistance. Alright, peep it out, peep it out, peep it out. Alright, indigo, majesty, intuition, knowingness, ability to think and make sound decisions, imagination, inner wisdom. Alright, violet, connectedness to all divinity, ability to connect with inner and outer beauty, spiritual bliss. Alright, these 3 colors important, especially when we're talking about this mountain range. Okay, so alright, Michael, royal purple, royal blue, gold, you know what I'm saying? Blue, Michael, leader of all holy angels. Archangel Michael is God's top angel, leading all the angels in heaven. He is known as Saint Michael. Michael means who is like God. Other spellings of Michael's name include Michael, Michael, and Michael. Alright, Michael's main characteristics are exceptional strength and courage. Michael fights. Alright, it's some of the same thing. He fights to prevail over evil and empowers believers to set their faith on God on fire with passion, right? And zealousness, right? Remember, Michael is associated with zealousness, that fire, that passion. We know that's talking about zeal. It's talking about zeal. He protects and defends people who love God. Alright. Let's see, that's some of the same stuff. Spiritual battle. Alright, check this out. Michael is often depicted in art wielding a sword or a spear, representing his role as an angelic leader in spiritual battles, right? Remember that old goon, right? They both keep that sword. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, blue is the angel light ray associated with the Archangel Michael. It symbolizes power, protection, courage, and strength. Now, what's interesting as well is that that purple, right? The purple nettle, the purple archangel color ray is the Archangel Zadkiel, which is the angel of mercy. He helps people approach God for mercy when they've done something wrong, encouraging them that God cares and will be merciful to them when they confess and repent for their sins. So think about atonement, right? Zadkiel means righteousness of God. So think about atonement and, you know, and things like that, and how that color represents the angel of mercy, because it's very important for, you know what I'm saying, what we're going to talk on in just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So, thought that was very interesting. Like it says right here, you know, talking about blue again, represented by Michael, how they stay safe in dangerous situations. All right, so peep that, man. So, you know, our ancestors called this place the place of the blue smoke, right? But that name, the name they used was Shekinah, which is very similar to Shekinah, which denotes a divine dwelling. But they literally call this place the place where the Great Spirit will settle, where he is settled, where his spirit is, right? Now we know that, like I said, there is an angel, there is a spirit in this smoke, and we know that Michael is the angel of the Lord. He is the face of God, right? When you see the Creator 9 times out of 10, you're probably dealing with Michael. That's his ambassador. That's who he sends out to do his chief work. You feel what I'm saying? He rules over all the angels. You feel what I'm saying? So it's very interesting to see, right, that there is an angel, a protective spirit in the smoke emitted by the trees, right, emitted by the incense, and that the particular light ray that's associated, that's in the smoke, is associated with the angel of protection, Michael. Michael is over the blue ray. So if Michael is in the smoke, and if the smoke is blue, we know what? We know that the presence of Michael is in the land through the incense, through Artemis, through purification, right? Through the exhaling the spirit of vegetation, right? The incense, the frankincense, the Lebanon. We see the presence of Michael in the land. So with that, I was able to find the presence of Michael in the land. You feel what I'm saying? Just looking at what he was tied to, what he was joined to, Artemis, right? The herb, the incense, the smoke, seeing his presence in the smoke and seeing the color associated with his presence as well in the smoke. We was able to see his, you know what I'm saying, just like I said, his presence in the smoke, which is important for refuge. Because we know Michael is the one who stands for us, and we know that he is the one who protects us in the day of tribulation. Right? So when we talk about refuge and protection away from Satan, the only one with the power to defeat Satan is Michael. So it's very important to be in the land where his presence is, so we can receive that protection and we can receive that refuge. You feel what I'm saying? And you can see even in the presence, even in the Shekinah, in the smoke, how refuge and protection, you feel what I'm saying, is even given to the tribe. Because, like I say, man, the land knows, the land is waiting. Anybody cannot come in the midst when the righteous are in this particular area being protected, right? That smoke, the presence of the Creator won't allow it. The things that's being emitted in the air is not going to allow certain things to happen. That's why we were talking about the movie The Happening. Peep what happened in The Happening. You feel me? Every time the wind blew, chemicals from plants, trees were being spread, and whoever, you know what I'm saying, breathed them, it had psychoactive effects, man. They were off in themselves. It was a purification, it was a purging going on. nature, by Mother Nature and her angels. You got to understand the Mother Nature, the angels of the earthly mother are these organic compounds. We're going to get into that in another video, but you got to understand these angels provide refuge. They provide the protection. Remember, most I say He's going to give His angels charge over you in His secret place. You feel what I'm saying? So it's a beautiful understanding, man. And when you understand how these angels provide refuge for the tribe, and where they're associated, where their presence is, where they will be, where they're settling, where they're waiting on you to come and provide refuge, so that they can turn up, do what they're supposed to do, and protect. You feel what I'm saying? So that we can perceive the Creator and build His righteous kingdom on the earth. Alright, man, so, just digging on, certain things, man, just, finding interest in how, just basically on, how you, depending on your proximity to the Shekinah, denotes just, how perceivable the Creator is. So, you know what I'm saying, that made me think a lot about the third eye, you know what I'm saying, the pineal gland, and, we know Jacob saw, he wrestled with the angel and saw God face to face at pineal. You know what I'm saying? So it made me think about the third eye. You know what I'm saying? And especially when we're talking about perceiving the Creator. All right. So now third eye, as we already know what it is. I'm just gonna touch on a few things. Is a mystical and esoteric concept of speculative, invisible eye which provides perception. Right. Perception beyond ordinary sight. All right. Right. So we're talking about perceiving the Creator. Right, to see the Creator. All right. Now, what's interesting is the spirit traditions of the third eye refers to the ajna, or the brow chakra. So now this chakra is very interesting. Like I said, we already know what third eye is. We ain't got to get all that, but you know what I'm saying. I want to go over here to ajna. All right. So ajna is the third eye chakra. You know what I'm saying? It's supposedly a part of the brain which can be made more powerful through meditation, yoga, and other spiritual practices, just as a muscle is. It signifies the subconscious mind, the direct link to Brahma. While a person, two eyes see the physical world, the third eye is believed to reveal insights about the future. Alright, third eye chakra is said to connect people to their intuition and give them the ability to communicate with the world. Now understand, and help them receive messages from the past and future. Now understand, this is all very interesting because we're talking about communication, right? And we're talking about the colors. We know blue and these colors are associated with communication, throat chakra, stuff like that. And we know that as well that the chemicals in the smoke, the terpenes, the organic compounds, are literally the basis for plant communication. So it's the way nature communicates. Nature communicates through these chemicals, right? So it's very interesting when you put all that into perspective. But what's also interesting about it is the color represented by the third eye chakra, ajna, right? This color. Right, this blue, indigo, violet color that's associated with the third eye chakra is interesting because when you understand the smoke over the Smoky Mountain range, when you look at it, it's the same color. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the third eye chakra in certain times of the day, depending on how the sun is, you know what I'm saying? Shining on the smoke emitted by the clouds, and depending on what type of wavelength of electromagnetic vibration that it's emitting, however you want to say it and look at it, you know what I'm saying? But depending on how it looks, denotes that particular shade of blue or blue violet or indigo that it emits. And then we can see in certain cases in the mountains, you know what I'm saying, the way the smoke is, sometimes it's the same color that's represented by the third eye. So we're talking about being in the place of the third eye, right? That chakra where the seat of God is, right? Where you're able to perceive, where you're able to see, right? Remember, see in etymology is a throne of a bishop, of a high priest, to sit in that seat, right? To see. You feel what I'm saying? So it's very interesting that just based on your proximity to the Shekinah, right? Well, as I say, the connection to God is more readily perceivable, right? And it's just interesting how that smoke, that wavelength energy is also represented by that chakra, that third eye chakra, that gives you ability to perceive beyond physical sight. So take all that in consideration, because remember, when we go into the wilderness, like Ezekiel 20 tell us, let's get it. Alright, looking at Ezekiel 20, starting at verse 33. Interesting. That the Lord will restore Israel. That particular subject starts in verse 33, because you know a lot of things in numerology tell you that that number is associated with Michael as well. We're not gonna get into that, Melchizedek, but you know what I'm saying? So it says, "As I live, saith the Lord, surely with the mighty hand and with the stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you," right? "And I will bring you out from the people, and I will gather you out of the country wherein you are scattered with the mighty hand and with the stretched out arm and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face," right? Just like he did with our ancestors, like he said, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness in the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, thus saith the Lord. So you can tell, in the wilderness, you're going to plead with the Creator face to face. Now, how is that possible? You know what I'm saying? Except you be in the presence of the divine Shekinah, right? Because that's the only way you're able to do it, right? I mean, that's common sense. But even like it says in 37, it says, "I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. And I will purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me, and I will bring them forth out of the country, whether they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And ye shall know that I am the Lord." All right? Now understand, because that's important, because the Most High say that when you come into the wilderness, then will I bring you under the bond of the covenant and pass you under the rod. Now that's interesting, because we know what? The Most High put his bow in the cloud, and this bow represented a covenant. So there's a covenant in the cloud. So when we're talking about refuge in this place of clouds, we can see that in the wilderness we're able to perceive the Creator by being in proximity to the Shekinah. Not only that, but we're able to receive the covenant because it's literally housed there, as in just like the ark. You feel what I'm saying? And that's what we're gonna get into as well in a little bit. But you know, just take that into consideration, man, and think about it, because it's all important. All right, so continuing. You know what I'm saying? And also to touch on, you know what I'm saying, like you say, "I will purge out from among you the rebels." You got to understand, at that place, it's not a place for games. You know what I'm saying? The wrong energy will get eradicated, will get purged, right? The trees, they know your intent, right? They have the type of chemistry to where they know what you're thinking. Remember the certain reports that been studied on how plants communicate, you know what I'm saying, and how to respond to human energy and stuff like that. The land knows your intent, which is why when the righteous come back to it, the land is going to blossom and rejoice and be glad, because they know who coming back. They know that the children of God are coming back to turn the earth into a garden, right? To cultivate it, right? You know what I'm saying? To till it, you know what I'm saying, and things of that nature. But the wrong type of energy, right? The rebels, the rebellious, the plant knows that as well, and the plant knows what time it is on the planet, right? Because what? The energy housed in it is for the time of trouble, is for the protection in tribulation, because we know Michael is present in the smoke. You feel me? So it's not a time for games, man. So if you ain't sure, you know what I'm saying, I might, you know, find another place, you know what I'm saying, to seek refuge, you know what I'm saying, especially if I know I'm going to be on some type of bull, because like I say, man, that ain't the place for it, you know what I'm saying, you'll find out real quick. So, you know, continuing, it says, "As for you, O house of Israel, thus saith the Lord," he say, "Go ye, serve everyone as idols, and hereafter also, if you will not hearken unto me, but ye pollute my holy name no more with your gifts and with your idols." And check this out, he say, "For in mine holy mountain, in the mountain of the height of Israel, saith the Lord, there shall all the house of Israel, all of them in the land, serve me. There will I accept them. There will I require your offerings and your first fruits and your oblations with your holy things, right? I will accept you with your sweet savor, and I will bring you out from the people and gather you out of the countries wherein you have been scattered, and I will sanctify you before the heathen. Alright, now check that out. Because one thing to understand about these Smokies is in the Appalachian Mountains. The Appalachian Mountains are said to be the oldest mountain range in the world, on the entire planet. So we're talking about mountains that had been there first with the Creator, always sacred, ancient, holy. Most I say mine holy mountain in the height of Israel. You know what I'm saying? We talk about mountains that had been here first, right? Sacred, ancient. They provide the Shekinah, the presence, right? Through the emission of the cloud. Alright, not to be too redundant, but you feel me? So understand, like I said, we're talking about a very ancient, very sacred place, a place that's very, very important to the Creator. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about His holy mountains, right? So understand that. Alright, man, so, to add and summarize a lot of things up, man, what we got to understand is this is a very sacred place, a very ancient place. You know what I'm saying? This is the first set of mountains. So, like I say, when most of us talking about his holy mountains, these mountains have a place in that in that category. You know what I'm saying? Very sacred. They literally have His Shekinah, His divine presence, His holy angel, dwelling in the land, in the mist, in the wind, in the smoke, in the cloud. You feel what I'm saying? And we see that the wavelength of energy, of vibration, that's being emitted in the smoke, the blue color is associated with our angel of protection. So we can see our angel of protection in this land, and we can see the land he's associated with, that feminine principality, that Shekinah, being associated with incense and Lebanon, frankincense, high quality resin, also being present in the land. Alright, also being present within the trees, within the mountains. Because we can also check out one more thing. Alright, looking at going over here to the etymology, looking at the word balm. Right, balm means oily, resinous, aromatic substance exuding naturally from shrubs of genus Camphora. Right, balsam, balm, balsam, Hebrew, Semitic, balsam, right, spiral, right, kind of balsam, right, which is related to the Arabic basma, basham, balsam, spice, perfume, right. The spelling, fashion, compare balsam, right. Let's go to balsam. Balsam is aromatic resin used for healing wounds and soothing pains, right. So aromatic resins is what? We know that's dealing with incense, right? Frankincense, high quality incense, right? The gum of the balsam tree, right? The gum is what? The incense, right? Right? Incense, right? Gum, right? Gum, right? Gum is incense, alright? Alright, you got the Great Balsam Mountains, right? The Great Balsam Mountains, or Balsam Mountains, are in the mountain range of western North Carolina, United States. The Great Balsams are a sub-range of the Blue Ridge Mountains, which in turn are part of the Appalachian Mountains, right? Alright, so check it out. The Fraser spurs, balsams or sheep balsams, you feel what I'm saying? Red spruce, he balsams, you know what I'm saying? So understand now, this is in western North Carolina as well. We know the Smoky Mountains is on the border of Tennessee and North Carolina, eastern eastern Tennessee and western North Carolina. Yeah, so you can see as well as in western North Carolina, you got the Great Balsam Mountains, right? And we know the balsam is dealing with gum, resin, right, and which is basically incense. You feel me? All right, so just with that being said, man, like I say, man, we can see just that presence of Artemis being associated with the land, and we know that Michael would be joined to her, and they are joined in the smoke, because you have the smoke of the incense, and then you have the blue wavelength and the light that's in it, which is represented by Michael, right? So So we spot on, man. We head on and we give all thanks and praise for the beautiful information that the Most High has given us in this time for refuge for what's going on. You know, I know a lot of people looking where to go and in certain places, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you know, a lot of places people digging on, everybody might not be able to get to, and it might not be meant for everybody to go there, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, for the people who are, you know, maybe on this side of things, you know, maybe this could be, you know, refuge for them. And we can see, man, how it definitely serves that purpose and can serve that purpose. You got to understand, this mountain range is waiting on the children to come back so it can provide refuge. Because you know, I was able to see some things, and it showed me another interesting, you know, key into how or really what that even means, you know what I'm saying, to provide refuge like that, and how this mountain range is exactly doing that in itself. And that's a powerful key and a powerful part of this information. All right, man. So to wrap this video up, man, the last part of this video, man, is very, very powerful, very interesting, man, and very key, man. Like I really ain't even know how I was gonna do this. Really ain't even know how I was gonna relay this, but it's very interesting, and I have to. Because just to go ahead and give the spoiler alert, what I was able to understand about these mountains is that the Smoky Mountains is literally the mercy seat to the Ark of the Covenant. You know what I'm saying? And so that's very deep. That's very powerful, because we know what happens at the mercy seat. We know atonement is made at the mercy seat, and we got it from Leviticus 16. We know that the presence of the Creator is in that cloud on the Day of Atonement, and then smoke from the incense, right? So man, oh man, so like I say, I didn't even know how I was going to bring this out, because what helped me understand this concept that these mountain rays played the role of the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant was really dreams. Some dreams that were had by my brother Jerusalem and his daughter, man. They had a dream the same night. They both had crazy dreams the same night. And so, you know, we're talking about dreams, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to put nobody, you know, personal private dreams out there. You know, the brother, he was okay with it, and he, you know, encouraged me to put the information out there, because it was really one of the main ways that helped me see that this was the Ark. So, you know, I always take y'all through the whole process of how I got the information, and you know what I'm saying. So, I thought the only way I'd be able to do that is share it with you, man. So, you know, I guess I decided to go ahead and do that. And so, you know, it's very crazy, man. So, the brother and I'm gonna tell you how interesting this is, because like I say, the brother Peru and his daughter had a dream the same night, and the next day when they called me and told me about this dream, I was in Utah. You know what I'm saying? So I find that very interesting, and you know, in itself, because when they called me to tell me about this, they let me know that this place was what it was, because I ended up doing some digging on their dream. But when they told me, I had just left Salt Lake City, man, and I was I was on my way to Cali, but you know, we were driving through Utah on I-80, I believe it was, and so you know, that was interesting. But you know, so what had happened was, man, so Peru had a dream, right? So in this dream, man, he was like, there was this dude, he was telling him, he was like, hey, you know he said, you know, Noah's Ark is in Florida, right? And so, you know, some Peru was like, yeah, man, you know, my bro Teach was, you know, this is what he telling the dude in the dream. He's like, but you know, my bro Teach is, he was talking about that, man, on his Garden of the South video. He was talking about, you know, Florida being, you know, the South and stuff like that. He was like, yeah, man, he was like, Noah's Ark is in Florida, and you need to go find it. You know, like that right there. So, you know what I'm saying? That kind of just like, I had to prove, you know, waking up thinking like, yo, what the heck? You know what I'm saying? So that was very interesting. So then his daughter come in the room, You know, like she had a, you know, crazy thing, and I believe her daughter, man, like 11 or 12 years old, man, can't make this stuff. We cannot make this stuff up, man. We give all thanks and praise for the Most High and His communion with us in real time. Because, you know, a daughter come in the room, she had a dream, man, and basically in her dream, there was this angel, right? And this angel was picking people for battle. Now, we already know who we talking about, right? We talking about the Archangel Michael. You feel what I'm saying? Right? The angel of war, the one who has the army of God, right? Ogun, the god of war. You know what I'm saying? So she said angel was picking people for battle. And the first person that he picked this, you know, he picked a dude and he named him Dory. He said, your name is Dory. Right? You know, that's crazy. It was very interesting. So and it was like after that, you know, they were kind of like on dry ground in the midst of like water or something like that. They were telling me. I can't really remember. But the interesting thing was that that Michael was picking people for battle, and the person that he picked, the first person he picked, he named him Dory. He called him Dory. So, you know, my antennas went off, man. I ended up doing some digging and came across some very profound things, man, that let me know that this mountain range was literally the mercy seat to the ark. You know what I'm saying? In a way. So I'm gonna take you on that trip with me, man. Just rock with your boy and let's get it. Alright, so you know, digging on Peru Dream first, you know, it was interesting because the dude was telling them that Noah's Ark was in Florida. Now he wasn't saying that, you know, the Ark of the Covenant was in Florida, which would have been like, I guess, more revealing, but not really in a way, because he actually, what he said was very particular and it led us to something very particular. So, you know what I'm saying, like I say, you would think I'd be listening or looking for the Ark of the Covenant, but what he said Noah's Ark is in Florida. And so we know Florida is being the South, right? You look at the early maps of the South, man, it was called Florida. The entire South was called Florida. So basically, he was telling us that the ark was in the South. Now that was interesting. So, you know, doing some etymology, came over here to ark, and that we can literally see, you know, first off, you know, ark meaning Noah's, but also the Ark of the Covenant, Latin arca, large box chest. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna skip down here. It says as the name of a type of ship or boat, right? Especially a large flat bottom river boat to move produce, livestock, etc. to market. All right. Now that's very interesting. We're gonna talk about that in a second. But what stood out was the fact that right here it says from the Noachian sense comes extended meaning place of refuge. You know what I'm saying? So bam. So ark literally in Noah's time literally meant place of refuge. So for the angel, the minister in his dream to say that the ark is in Florida, or Noah's Ark specifically is in Florida, it made it seem as if he was telling us the place of refuge is in the South. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that would turn our, you know, our eyes to that as well. Now, digging on his daughter's dream. Alright, so now digging on his daughter's dream, you know what I'm saying? Now they in the same house, had these dreams the same night. You feel me? The spirit, you know what I'm saying, were present. You know, so you know, and like I say, man, you can hit the brother up, man, and ask him, man, you can't make this stuff up, man. You know what I'm saying? If you try, you know what I'm saying? I ain't that swift. I got to be real with you, man, to make something up like this. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that swift. So yeah, man, it was very interesting, man, because like she said, man, when there was an angel picking people for battle, and the first person he picked, he named him Dory. Now, when you look in the etymology of Dory, the first thing you see is small, flat-bottom boat. Now, that's very interesting because an ark is a large, flat-bottom boat, right? And we know when we talk about ark, we're dealing with a place of refuge, so we can kind of see, you know what I'm saying, some correlation there, even in that, with an ark being a large, flat-bottom boat and a dory being a small, flat-bottom boat, right? Perhaps from West Indian, Central American Indian language, huh? You feel me? So, you know what I'm saying? But, so, like I say, small flat bottom boat. And ark means a large flat bottom boat, so you can kind of see a resemblance in that when we're dealing with the place of refuge. But not even in that, when you look at the second noun to dory, it gives us an even greater perception on this concept, right? So it says dory, right? Particular name of a type of edible marine fish. All right, dory. Originally the feminine past particle of dor, meaning to gild, right? To gild. All right. So now that was very interesting because it's telling us that dory literally means to gild. The root of it, a past particle of Dora, it meant to gild. You feel what I'm saying? So now that right there in itself was so interesting to me because of understanding what gild means, right? Let's get it. Alright, to gild, right? Verb. To gild means to cover with a thin layer of gold. To gild, to cover with gold. Alright, now so when I read that, like it was crazy because as I started to do my digging on the ark being, you know what I'm saying, a place of refuge from Peru's dream, also began to dig on the Ark of Covenant and how that played a role when we're dealing with ark, period. And what I was able to find was very interesting when you're dealing with dory and you're dealing with gilding. All right, let's get it. All right, so mercy seat. It says according to the Hebrew Bible, the mercy seat was a gold lid with two cherubim beaten out at the ends of it to cover and create a space in which the Most High would appear. Right. The divine Shekinah. This gold cover, right, pay attention, was placed on the Ark of the Covenant. This was connected with rituals of the Day of Atonement, where God did appear. The term also appears in later Jewish sources and twice in the New Testament, from where it has significance in Christian theology. The English phrase mercy seat is a transliteration kapareth, right? Literally meaning seat of grace. Okay, boom. Etymology, alright, kafar, which is often considered to mean cover. The literal meaning of kafar is wipe out, implying that kapareth means thing of wiping out, thing of cleansing. Alright, kafat, alright, generally taken to mean cover. Alright, so think about that now. This literally means, the root of it means to cover, right? To wipe out, cleanse. But it means to cover. So that's interesting. Similarly, this word etymologically means thing for appropriation, right? Atonement. Alright, now that's interesting. Alright, catharsis, right? We know we're dealing with purging, purification, right? Cleansing. Okay, so now it's unclear whether the kapareth was the lid of the ark or merely sat on top of the ark, possibly with the ark having a cover beneath it. All right. So again, this word means cover, right? To cover. Okay. So the term covering occurs 27 times, all of them relating to a particular item on the Ark of the Covenant. All right. Jewish translations traditionally avoid the translation mercy seat as later Christian gloss. All right, now check this out. It says, and thou shalt make an ark cover of pure gold, 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof. All right, it says you shall make a cover of pure gold, right, 2.5 cubits long. Now in these verses it's talking about the mercy seat, right? Making the mercy seat, but it don't use that in the translation. Instead it uses the cover, right? An ark cover of pure gold, or a cover of pure gold, right? It says, according to the biblical account, the cover was manufactured from gold and was the same width and breadth as the ark beneath it. All right, now peep that out. The ark The ark and cover were, according to the passage, kept inside the Holy of Holies, the temple's innermost sanctuary, which was separated from the remainder of the temple by a thick curtain, because the ark and the mercy seat were associated with the what? The presence of the Most High, right? The divine Shekinah. All right. So now understand, right? The account states that the golden statue had cherubim, right? The angels of the Most High, the earthly mother angels, were placed at each end of the cover, facing one another and the cover, and with their wings spread in order to enclose the cover. Alright, so understand that when we're dealing with these angels with wings, we know we're dealing with what? Organic compounds that are volatile, right? They fly. You feel what I'm saying? So understand, we talking about a gold cover, right? A covering manufactured of pure gold, right? And that they said that it was the same width and breadth as the ark. So it literally covered the entire ark, right? Now understand, when we go back to Dory, we know Dory meant what? Dory literally means to gild, right? Gild literally means to what? To cover with a thin layer of gold. To gild. You feel what I'm saying? A mercy seat, the mercy seat of the ark. You know what I'm saying? Peep it out, check it out. The mercy seat of the ark is literally a cover of gold, a gold covering, right? To cover with a thin layer of gold. Right? To cover with a thin layer of gold. To cover with gold. Okay? So understand that. The mercy seat of the ark is a gold covering. It's covering the ark. Now they said the mercy seat is the same width and breadth of the ark, so it covers the entire ark. It sits on top of it. So think about the ark as a place of refuge, right? The mercy seat covers the entire ark, the entire place of refuge, right? And how does it do that? Right? It does that from the cherubim, the angels, right? The VOCs, the volatile organic compounds that provides us with what? The divine Shekinah. It's the covering. It's the gild. You feel what I'm saying? So when her dream said that hold on, let me go back. You know what I'm saying? So when her dream said that an angel was picking people for battle, and the first person he picked, he named him Dory. What I got from that, what that literally told me, was that the first people that the archangel, excuse me, the first people that the archangel is going to join himself to, his army to, are those at the mercy seat, right? The first person the angel picked for battle, he named him Dory. You know what I'm saying? And Dory means to gild, and to gild is a gold covering, which is literally the mercy seat. Michael, remember, in the wilderness, for his protection, he joins his armies to the council of the community. Remember that from the Assyrian records. You feel what I'm saying? Remember the one sitting on the white horse in Revelation. He comes with the army of God. Remember the white horse, the wilderness. Remember all that. You feel what I'm saying? So understand, the first place, the only people Michael is joining his army to are those present at the mercy seat. Those who made atonement near the Shekinah. You got to understand, this is deep. The priest comes before the mercy seat on the day of atonement to make atonement for the entire nation. You feel what I'm saying? And you got to understand, that's where the protection and the refuge come from. It comes from the ark, the place of refuge. The mercy seat on top of it, where the incense is burned in Leviticus 16, literally brings the Shekinah from the cloud of the incense. You got to understand this land and what it played, the role it plays for the children, right? Alright, so another aspect that was kind of interesting to me, man, was was dealing with so when we're dealing with the incense, right? Like I said, we know from Leviticus 16 that the cloud from the incense, from the smoke of the incense, provides us with the Shekinah, right? The presence of the Creator, and His angels. So now when we're looking at incense offering, it's interesting because incense offering, the name of it is the Keteret, right? Now that was interesting to me for a particular reason. So, just dig on this for a second. Say in Judaism, was related to the perfumed offerings on the altar of incense, right? At the time of the tabernacle and the first and the second temple period. Alright. Was an important component of the priestly liturgy in the temple in Jerusalem. Alright, the sacred incense prescribed for use in the wilderness tabernacle was made costly of material that the congregation contributed. The book of Exodus describes the recipe. Excuse me. So you got the herb. You see the frankincense in there. Alright, it say now check this out. Now they say at the end of the compartment of the tabernacle, next to the curtain dividing it off from the most holy, was located near the incense offering. Alright. According to the book of Chronicles, there was also similar incense altar in Solomon's temple in Jerusalem. Every morning and evening, sacred incense was burned. Once a year on the Day of Atonement, coals from the altar were taken in a censer, a fire holder, together with 2 handfuls of incense, into the Holy of Holies, where the incense was made to smoke before the mercy seat of the Ark of the Testimony. Alright, so peep that, right? Before the Ark of the Testimony, the smoke of the incense was made to smoke before the mercy seat. Alright. Alright, we see Balsam down here. You know what I'm saying? Myrrh. Alright. Very interesting. Now, what's interesting about that is the fact that the incense offering happened on it also happened on the Day of Atonement, but it's called Keteret. And the reason why that's interesting is because the name that Cherokee called a particular point on the mountain that had a lot to do with their legend. So we're gonna get into that real quick. We'll catch a little video, man, just a little bit of it, and then we're gonna get back.
Legends of the Katua people say that the name was given after 7 of the wisest men of the ancient Cherokees went to the highest peak and fasted for 7 days and nights, asking the Creator for guidance. This peak is known today as Clayman's Dome. On the 7th night of their fast, the Creator told them, "You shall be Ketua." Katua people say that the name was given after 7 of the wisest men of the ancient Cherokees went to the highest peak and fasted for 7 days and nights, asking the Creator for guidance. This peak is known today as Clayman's Dome. On the 7th night of their fast, the Creator told them, "You shall be Ketua."
Ketua Mound, located near what is present-day Bryson City, North Carolina, is understood as the mother town and the place where the Creator gave the laws and first fire to the people. Understood as the mother town and the place where the Creator gave the laws and first fire to the people. The Eastern Band Cultural Office reports this place wasn't just a town. This was the mother town, the place where the Cherokee began.
The Katua people originally lived in the southeastern part of the United States.
Understood as the mother town and the place where the Creator gave the laws and first fire to the people.
Alright, so man, so that's interesting, and it's interesting to me because of the word. Like, it's not that similar, but to me it's just kind of interesting, right? With the incense offering being Keteret, and in this place being Ketua, right? Keteret, Ketua. Just kind of interesting. So it says Gedua on the Tuskegee River is the original settlement, and it's one of the 7 mother towns, right? It is the mother town, right? Of the southeast, in the southeast, right? In Swain County, North Carolina, in the Great Smoky Mountains, right near present-day Bryson City. All right. So let me see, let me get a few things. All right. Yep, man. So check that out. After lead headman. A later headman of this group was Dragon Canoe. We're talking about Overhill Cherokee. You know what I'm saying? We know we're dealing with from natural the brother natural by law. We know we're dealing with the priest when we're dealing with the Overhill Cherokee, right? And it said this group was led by Dragon Canoe, right? We know Dragon Canoe was revolutionary, right? He wasn't with the confirmation and the assimilation, right? He wanted to keep the ancient sacred ways of his tribes. You know what I'm saying? And when he led his warriors southwest to continue fighting colonists of Upper East Tennessee, the entire population went with him, including those formerly of the Katua, right? So yeah, man, the ancient Cherokee had a hereditary priesthood called the Anikatani, a structure that may have been adopted from another tribe. The Cherokee held the Anikatani in awe, greatly feared men. They were not regular chiefs. They were known as Oogles, owls, right? Known as white chiefs, sometimes identified with those who worked for peace during times of peace. All right. Some traditional Cherokee called by the Atonement of Anikituwagi. All right. Spelled variously in local Oklahoma dialects, Gadua, right? Katua people. The meaning of the word Katua is known to contemporary Cherokee speakers. It is not widely reported because of its sacred nature. Alright. Check this out. Honoring the mother town was analogous to honoring Selu, the Cherokee corn mother of the ancient green corn ceremony, and many other connections. Alright. Honoring mothers is a concept that has pervaded Cherokee culture. Alright, Cherokee had kinship system, a matrilineal descent, clan membership, family organization, Alright, but check, we're talking about the feminine principle, though. We're talking about honoring the mother, right? The feminine principle. So that's very interesting, especially when we're talking about this town being the mother town, right? And not only that, it says in the green corn ceremony, one of the 2 social dances performed is of ancient origin. It may have been practiced in the mother town of Katua. Alright. Check that out. It says during the green corn ceremony in tradition Cherokee society, the coals of new fire were carried to all the Cherokee. They were used to kindle the ceremony fires in each of the towns before any of the new corn could be eaten. The home fires in outlying Cherokee communities were extinguished before the ceremonies and relit from the coals of the fire kindled during the green corn ceremony dance. So that's interesting because you can see the coals of the new fire carried to all the Cherokee. Just like in the incense offering on the Day of Atonement, the coals from the altar were taken in a censer before the mercy seat. You know what I'm saying, right? The Keteret, and we're talking about Ketuah. Alright, so like I say, just interesting. Not only that, man, the green corn ceremony. Remember, green corn, even in the scriptures, like the brother Natural by Law was bringing out, right? Green corn ceremony. Look at that. Very interesting, right? It says the green corn ceremony were annually ceremony practiced amongst various Native American peoples, right, associated with the beginning of the yearly corn harvest, right? It's a fast, right? It involved the first fruits, right? So the community sacrifice, right, the first of the green corn, right? Now that's interesting because we know when we're dealing with the Day of Atonement, we know we're dealing with fasting, right? We're dealing with purification. You know what I'm saying? Right? That's what Joel chapter 2 come into play, which we're gonna get into next video. But when you talk about gathering the assembly, right? Sanctifying the fast, coming before the Creator, right? Making atonement, offering and oblation. You feel what I'm saying? We're dealing with the offering, right, for purification. The Ketcharet Katua. We know that this ceremony was being held in this place, Katua. And remember what it said. It said that this place, that's where they received the laws, the first laws. You feel what I'm saying? In that first fire, right? And dealing with Ezekiel 20, remember what he said. He said, I will bring you into the wilderness of the people. There would I plead with you face to face, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness in the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you. Right? Thus saith the Lord God. Alright, so you can see in the place where, you know, the Most High said he will plead with you face to face, like as he pleaded with your forefathers in the wilderness. And what did he do in the wilderness with our forefathers? He gave them the law, right? He gave them the law. And so, you know, the Cherokee say that place on the mountains, the place where they received the first laws, where they began. You know, so that's very interesting, man, because like I say, when you take everything that's into consideration with these mountains, just their ability to be what they are, you know what I'm saying, and how they call to literally be that mercy seat of the ark, right? That place of refuge, the place where that provides the Shekinah, right? In the middle of the covering of the wings, the volatile organic compounds provided by the angels, the organic compound. You feel what I'm saying? That's in the smoke. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, we're gonna get into it very deeply on my next video. But you got to rock with me. You got to understand, man, what this mountain range does and how it plays that priestly that priestly role of providing refuge, right? For the tribe, man. Very, very important. Alright, man, so you know, to come back, man, to close the video out, man. Just want to give all thanks and praise for everybody, you know, just man rocking with me. This video wasn't as long as usual. Man, I give all thanks and praise for that. Well, not as long as they've been lately, I should say, but still got a little length on it. But it's very important, very vital information. You got to get it in. We're talking about the place of refuge in the time of tribulation. We're talking about the wilderness. Remember what's going on. Pay attention to what's going on right now. You know what I'm saying? You see all this crazy stuff Trump doing, da-da-da. But you see how he's taking away certain things. He's taking away the way people eat. The way people eat in particular, right? They money, they stamps, you know what I'm saying? Just, and a lot of government assistance, man. But, you know, just think about, it comes with a wall. You feel what I'm saying? It comes with something being set up in the land. So just remember, you know what I'm saying, when Daniel talk about the taking away of the daily sacrifice, the sacrifices, and how that come with the abomination of desolation being set up, right? Remember, I did a video on abomination of desolation, how that come with martial law. You feel what I'm saying? So that comes with tribulation. You feel what I'm saying? So understand, remember, in the New Testament, you know what I'm saying, Yeshua will tell you straight up that when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet being set up, he say, flee to the mountains. When you see Jerusalem being encompassed with armies, right, martial law, you see that military personnel being set up in your hoods and stuff like that, flee to the mountains. Flee to the mountains. And that's very important, because we got to understand what that's at. Where is the spirit of protection? Where is it dwelling? What mountain range? You know, so how does that play? And how can we see the protection? But we can see it because we can see the spirit. We can see the spirit in of the angel in the smoke. We can see the creator's spirit, his spirit dwelling in this land. Our ancestors name it. They seen it. They knew it. They were dwelling in their land, communing with that divine great spirit. And they knew that this was the place where his spirit had rested. They knew that in the smoke, right? Because the name Shekinah, which denotes the presence of the creator dealing with Shekinah and Shekinah, literally means the place of smoke. So they named a place of smoke the place where his presence dwelled, because they understood that concept. So in order for us to see the Most High in the wilderness and commune with him face to face to receive our covenant, our laws, we know it's in the smoke. You feel what I'm saying? It's in the mountains. It's in the place where his ancient sacred mountains where his spirit dwell. His archangel of protection is present in the blue smoke, and we can see it. And even in the violet rays and in the ultraviolet, the indigo, because even remember, we talking about this place as the mercy seat of the ark. But remember, that the angel associated with the purple ray Zedekiah is what? He's the angel of mercy. You feel what I'm saying? Helps people approach God for mercy when they've done something wrong. So when we talk about a symbol, gather the assembly, bring the elders, sanctify, fast. We talk about the Day of Atonement, making atonement before the mercy seat of the ark. You feel what I'm saying? The colors associated, you know what I'm saying, with the smoke, with the setting, with the environment. We understand, like, you know what I'm saying? This ain't, this is very real. We can see it. It's very tangible. You feel what I'm saying? So, we know this is not a game, man. When we're dealing with that mercy seat, everybody can't come in now. Everybody can't enter the Holy of Holies. You feel what I'm saying? What happened in Leviticus 16? The chapter started off with death. Somebody offering wrong, somebody being amongst that smoke, and it ain't work out too good for them. The most I tell you, like, look, hey, don't come in here all the time, cause I'm here. My presence is here, is in this smoke. You feel what I'm saying? And depending on how how things play out, man, it can be very detrimental for you. You know what I'm saying? So you got to understand this smoke in these mountains is no game. Especially when we talking about refuge, we talking about these chemicals literally having psychological, neurological, and hallucinogenic effects. You know what I'm saying, on human chemistry. You know what I'm saying, causing you to see, perceive whatever it is the environment wants you to perceive. Excuse me. Whatever it is the land wants you to perceive. Like I say, look at the movies, look at the happening. Look at the purging that comes with the inhalation of these chemicals exhaled by the environment, right? Look at Bird Box. Look at the purging that comes with sin, right? With sin, perceiving whatever is in the wind, right? As the wind blows, that's outside, man. That perception has a chemical response on the human psyche that triggers fear and cause you to basically eradicate and exterminate yourself. This is nature. This is the land, right? Exterminating wickedness off of it. We have protection. We have refuge, but we got to understand how that play out, right? Remember, the wilderness will be glad when its children, you know what I'm saying, come back unto it. It will do what it have to do to protect its children, right? That's what Mother Earth does. That we're talking about this mother principle. Artemis. Purity, chastity, right? It's for the birth of the nation, right? Refuge in the wilderness. You feel what I'm saying? It's for ultimate protection. You got to understand, man. You don't know what this smoke can do. You don't know what these trees can do. The trees can clear out parasites from even being in the garden. Understand? We talking about cherub. We're going to get into that in the next video. But like I said, I need y'all to understand, man. We talking about the Archangel Michael, the angel of protection, being present in this particular area in the land. And we can literally see it. We can see him in the blue ray and in the blue smoke and in the land of Shekinah, where the divine presence is. Remember, the angel went before the camp. He went after, right? The pillar of cloud went before the camp, then it came after. We talking about the angel, the spirit being present in the smoke to provide refuge for the people. That's not a game. You feel what I'm saying? It don't matter who know this. It don't matter how I get out, because you got to understand you can't do nothing with this. You feel you can't whoop no mountain range. You feel me? Understand this thing been here. It's always gonna be here. We talking about the first mountain range, the most ancient. It has a design. It has a function. You feel what I'm saying? And it's to restore order through the earth, to bring back the original way, the original order of the garden. Like I say, this is the gate. This mountain range, the Smoky Mountains, this is literally the gate to the garden. You feel me? This is the gate to Eden. You feel what I'm saying? This is where atonement is made at the mercy seat. And we know that the angels, the army of the angels, is joined to us at this place where Michael is present, because he has command over that. Alright, so understand that, man. I leave y'all with peace, love, and happiness. Alright, till next time, you know what I'm saying? Shalom, much love, and stay blessed.